me in the dark of the night, talking about the stars in the sky. I know about your highs and your lows. Yeah, I know. I can see the dark in your eyes, the beauty and the beast in disguise. It's always in the silence, you know.
My name is August. I go by the artist name Discrete, and I produce electronic music of all sorts. I write a lot of my own music too. I've been producing music for like almost 10 years, but I started taking it professionally for like 4 years ago, and then like it took 2 years until I realized I don't want to create stuff for others. I want to be creative for my own project, and then I started the Discrete project as a result of that, and that resulted in me just like dropping songs every now and then, and now it's like starting to take off a little bit, which is so fun. It's always been a love for electronic music. That's the reason why I started producing music from the start. I think there's this album from Justice called Justice from 2007. That was one of the albums that, like, the first time I heard that was like, holy shit. Oh, sorry. But yeah, that was one of those moments where I was like, oh my God, this is insane. And like, how do they make these sounds? I was always invested in music, but I didn't know it was producing music that was my thing until I heard that album.
Don't drown in me, my love. Don't drown in me, my love.
I tried, like, in the start of the project, I tried to like make beats by my own and like then send it over to Topliners and stuff, but then I just realized like it all just sounds weird and off. Like, I didn't make the songs that I would like to release when I was doing it in that process. So it just like started out with me having sessions with people in the room, and just like we start out with different stuff every time, but the usual concept is that we usually just sit down, talk for an hour, find concepts that we both like, and then you just like stumble into different topics, and then all of a sudden you start talking about something that makes a song in a way. And then you have a lyrical concept and then I usually like try to play some chords during the conversation because it sets the mood, and then usually some of those chords come into the adaptation of what music we're making, and from there it's just like another thought, like, okay, we have these chords, I have no idea what tempo they should be in or when anything, and then you just start playing them, hearing some melodies, start setting a tempo, then you add some drums. I don't know. Yeah, it's just like, it's a wild process, but sometimes that's how it does. That's my favorite way of doing it. And sometimes it's just like, oh shit, I got this idea, I just have to print it down from my brain. It's like, it's this weird thing where it doesn't feel like it's my idea, it's someone like giving me a phone call, it feels like, and just like, hey, here's a great song idea, and it just jumps into my head, and then I just have to print it out in the project, basically. So this song was like me and Tudor Davies, Adolfo Sistik, sitting in the studio right here where I'm sitting right now, actually, for 18 months ago, I think. Yeah, it was November 2019.
Okay.
And then we just like, Tudor was here for a weekend. That was the first time I met him. It's a top liner that I work with a lot now. And he actually moved to Sweden to work closer with me. And then we kept on writing a bunch of songs, and then all of a sudden, like, we stumbled upon Drown in Me, and I was like, this has some like weird epicness that I've not heard in a track before. And then we just like played around with the idea, and like I started adding these reggaeton, I think you say it, and drums to it, and then it was like, oh man, this needs some like Latin inspiration feature, and like to make it more authentic, because it feels like strange to just have this Swedish guy making this type of music. And then we found, and I've been a big fan of Dylan Fuentes. I've loved his songs. He's dropped some super good songs with Tiny and the whole Neon 16 team. So we just reached out to him, like cold called him basically to his management, and like, hey, we have this tune and we would love for Dylan to jump onto it. And he was excited to jump on, which was like amazing for me. and did not expect that, and they were like, oh, and then like his manager was like, let's make this like a huge song, let's bring in more artists into it. And then we just like, me and Valdemar just played around with the thought, found the idea of like, I've been listening to Ouse for a while too. He's a great artist, the guy in the first verse on the song, and we just reached out to him too and like, hey man, big fan, would you like to jump on? And funny enough, he did. And then it was me, Ouse, Dylan on the song, and I was like, this is so sick, but it needs that extra spice. And then we just like tried to figure out how can we make this. I was playing around with the idea of like adding a second drop to the chorus and stuff, and it didn't really work out. And then we had the idea to bring in a female feature, and like reached out to Kiesza, also Cold Call, like, but I've been a huge fan since she dropped her song with Skrillex and Diplo, the Take You There song. And from there I've just been a huge fan, so we reached out to her, sent the song to her management, they loved it. We had written a part for her even, and like, this is what we want you to sing, so she sent that. But when I was looking through the folders from like what I got from her, it was just like one piece called alt folder or alt lead, and I just put that into the project. It was this different thing than what I had made her sing. It was like way better than what we've written, and it felt so authentic, so I was like, oh my god, we have to keep this. And that just made this cut. And then yeah, from there we had all the three features on, and like, I've not met any of them in real life. I've worked with all three remotely without them talking to each other. It's been like this puppet mastery thing going on, like, hey, and like trying to keep everyone satisfied, communicating. It's been a big process, but at the end of the day it all worked out. But it was a fun project to make. Initially we started out the project with like me and my manager, who's like one of my best friends too. It initially started out with Discrete because we thought it was like cool, interesting to keep the project discrete, but like in maths, the way I spell the name, it means like absolute. It's a mathematical term for like, this is the designated spot. And then like, there's so much anonymous projects going on in dance music, and it's like, to be fair, I'd like to give a face, like, it's not for the fame or anything, but it's like to give a connection to the fans, and actually people knowing it's me who's Discrete is like something comforting for the fans and stuff like that. So we scrapped the idea, but we kept the name because like the logo and the name felt cool still. And that's like where it all started, and then we just kept on rolling with that. Hi, my name is Discrete, and you've just been buzzed.